Today, I want to talk about if virtual training is better than in-person PT. For a lot of people, including trainers, virtual training was something that became a necessity over lockdown. We didn't have much of a choice in the matter. It was virtual training or following a plan from YouTube. I think a mistake a lot of us made was assuming that virtual training should go away when the lockdown stopped. And when I used to talk to other personal trainers, they would say the same thing. It's not really for me. I like the in-person interactions I have with my clients. I feel like I can do more. And I would 100% agree. But if I'm honest, that's quite a selfish perspective. A personal trainer looking at how good a session is based on their experience isn't really the point. The point is finding something that works well for the client. Now, sometimes that is in-person personal training. Sometimes that is the best option. For a lot of people, that isn't necessarily the case. I've continued to work with some of my clients virtually since the lockdowns, and I've found that actually there's a lot of aspects of virtual training that have an advantage over in-person PT. In-person PT relies on the fact that both of you can get to the same location at a given time. If it becomes particularly inconvenient for the personal trainer to get there, let's say, for example, you want to do a one-off session in the evening and that personal trainer predominantly works in the morning, it's unreasonable for us to expect someone to wait around all day to then see one client. So a lot of personal trainers in that scenario might just say, you know what, I can't take you on, or can you do a different time that may not be convenient for the client? The advantage of the virtual sessions is that both parties can be way more flexible. It's a lot less travel time for the client if they're have got a gym close to home or are working from home. It means that a personal trainer doesn't need to be pinned to a singular place that maybe they pay rent at or they do hours for. So flexibility is much better for both parties. That's one. So one, we've got flexibility. Second, you've got the regularity. Now, what I found with my clients is that although we may not be able to reach the same level of intensity in a session with me there, i.e. because I'm spotting them or just pushing them to do more exercises or moving the weights for them, what I have found is that clients are able to be more consistent with their training. So they don't miss sessions, and they're able to train multiple times a week. And it's kind of a thing in the industry we don't talk about enough. Everyone's looking for the optimal plan. Everyone's looking for the super difficult, super tough workouts, but no one talks about consistency over a long time. Now, if you ask me, I think that's the most important thing. When I conduct a virtual session, I've got my client's plan on one screen, I've got them and what they're doing on the other screen, and I've got my notes. So I'm fully aware of what happened last week and what I expect them to do this week and what they're currently doing. For the clients who are a little bit more interested in the numbers, I think that virtual sessions offer an advantage because there's way more analytics that we can use. It's not as practical to do that on the gym floor when you're doing an in-person PT. And obviously, most important is results. Like I said earlier, because of the consistency, even though the sessions aren't hitting that same level of intensity, I found my clients get similar, if not better results virtually than they can do in person. We also have to consider the scope of people that you can work with. If you're bound to one gym or you're only looking at the personal trainers in the gym that you go to, you only have their skill sets. So if you have a more specific goal, or if you have an injury or something else that you're working around, it can be quite restrictive because you've only got, say, 6 to 10 people to work that you could possibly work with. When you open up those doors and have any personal trainer, you gain the ability to work with people with either very niche expertise or a personality type that works really well for you. There's an element of getting on with your personal trainer that's super important. And even just opening the doors to personalities that you might not have around you is huge. So even though I was a skeptic coming out of the lockdowns and thought, how much longer can this last? I can say that honestly, my attitude has completely changed. I now look at it as something that is just as viable as in-person PT. And there are some circumstances where I think it's better. I've had clients who have worked with me in person and have chose to then go to virtual sessions, even when their proximity isn't too far away from me, just because it's so much easier to get those sessions done if they've got some equipment at home. With a few dumbbells and the right form, they're able to achieve fantastic results. I think it's really easy actually to convey that across a camera when you're working virtually with someone. And I think that if it's something you're considering, you should give it a go. Feel free to contact me using the details below and we can get your first session booked in.